Hi everyone, this is Drashti here from English Voice. I am the reading expert and PT trainer here at English Voice. In this video and the other parts of this video, I'm going to explain you how you are supposed to use grammar to your benefit in PT reading blanks and reading writing blanks. First things first, you have to understand that you are going for an English proficiency test. That means you have to learn the backbone of your English exam, that is grammar. Now, grammar gives you hints that can help you solve the blanks more accurately and quickly. That is why it is one of the most important aspects when you are going for your PTE exam. Now, in your PTE speaking, writing, and listening, we do have certain templates, hacks, and strategies that can help you to improve your scores. But in reading exam, you have to learn different aspects of your English language system in order to get marks. So we will start with grammar. I'm going to show you a presentation that I have prepared for grammar, and I'm going to cover different topics which are important for your PTE reading blanks and reading writing blanks. Also, I'll be showing you some strategies and techniques that you can straight away apply in your exam, and I'm going to also show you some real life PTE exam questions in order to see how we are able to apply those techniques in our PTE exam. I really encourage you guys to make notes, okay, because this video is going to be long. Even the other parts of this videos are very long, so I don't want you to watch them over and over again. I encourage you guys to make notes from the very beginning so that you can go through your notes or you can refer back to them whenever you are in need of them. Alright, so I'll just share my screen now, so pay attention to that. Alright, so as you can see on my screen, this is PTE reading grammar session 1. Basically, your PTE reading content and all are related to grammar is a very long topic, so we can't really put them in one video, and we have divided it into different videos, and I really encourage you guys to go on and look at the other parts of this series as well. Alright, so as I told you that this video we are already going to cover everything that is related and important to grammar for your PTE exam. Now let us look at the content of this video. So basically I'm going to teach you all the topics that are asked in your PTE exam. I'm going to start with basic topics such as understanding parts of speech, modals, subject verb agreement, and then I'll move on to the difficult topics like active passive voice, tenses, etc. And then prepositions and connectors. Now let me tell you, prepositions and connectors are itself covering around 20% of your PTE reading section. And lastly, I'm going to share a basic grammar cheat sheet with you guys. So basically in this cheat sheet, there are around 37 to 40 rules that I want you guys to memorize correctly. I want you to apply them straight away in your exams in order to improve your scores and accuracy. That will also be very time saving for you guys. Now, this video is covering all the parts except prepositions and connectors. Prepositions and connectors are in itself very long topic, so I really encourage you guys to go and look at the video which is covering prepositions and connectors. Do not skip that next video because that is equally important. It is covering around 20% of your PTE reading section. Alright, let us start with the basics first. So when you talk about parts of speech, what do you mean by parts of speech? So whenever you hear words like nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, they are all parts of speech, okay? So there are a lot of parts of speech in the English language system. Now, basically, there are 8 main parts of speech, that is nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Then you have prepositions, connectors, pronouns, and interjections. So these are the 8 main parts of speech. You do have other parts of speech as well, like helping verbs or modal auxiliaries, etc. Now, let us look at what is the importance of these parts of speech. So basically, what happens is they serve different functions and roles in a sentence. Basically, if you talk about a noun has its own function, its own role, and its own position in a sentence. So does a verb, adjective, and adverb. They are the basic building blocks of your English language system. So whenever I want to create a sentence, I use parts of speech. Now, what are we going to do with these parts of speech? So basically, your parts of speech, you should know what they mean. So when you have a set of options, you should know which of them are nouns, which of them are verbs, which of them are adjectives, adverbs, and so on. So I'm going to first explain you what are the differences between these parts of speech, and then I'm going to show you a technique that you can straight away apply in your exam to get your accuracy build up. Alright, now as I told you that there are a lot of parts of speech, but what happens is 70% of your times in your exam, these are the 4 parts of speech that will be missing. So you will be missing a noun, verb, adjective, or an adverb. So I'm going to cover that in this video. Okay, Moving towards nouns. So what are nouns? Whenever a student asks me, ma'am, what are nouns? I always tell that nouns are simple words. Okay, what do you mean by simple words? Basically, these words just exist. They are not doing any action. They are not describing anything. They are not modifying anything. Nothing of that sort. They are just existing by themselves. What they will do is they will represent person, place, ideas, objects, concepts or processes. So this is their work. They will come and they will represent something. They are not going to do any action by themselves. They are just existing by them. So I have some examples listed here like David, Cindy, intelligence, computers. They are all nouns because they are not doing anything. They are just existing by themselves. Even if you talk about words like faith, hope, they are also nouns because they are not doing anything. They are just existing by themselves. Now looking at the identification, so whenever you are given a set of options, you should be able to identify which one of them are nouns, okay? The identification of nouns goes in two parts. So the first part is knowing a few sort of suffixes. Now whenever students ask me, ma'am, what are suffixes, I always say they are specific endings. Okay, specific endings are suffixes. Basically, if a word is ending with a particular set of letters, that is a suffix. Okay, now let us look at this list of suffixes that I have prepared here to understand which of them are belonging to nouns. So when you talk about tion, let's say attention. So attention is a noun. Okay, sion, let's say conclusion. Conclusion is a noun. MENT, let's say accomplishment or achievement, they are all nouns. When you talk about OR, like actor or orator, they are all nouns. When you talk about ER, like teacher, preacher, they are all nouns. When you talk about AGE, like language, they are also nouns. Language, carriage, baggage, they are all nouns. Moving forward, you also have other set of identification suffixes like IST. When you talk about words like artist, pianist, etc., they are all nouns. When you talk about words like ending with ISM, socialism, realism, they are all nouns. Moving forward, you have HOOD like childhood, neighborhood, parenthood, they are all nouns. And SHIP, that is friendship, relationship, partnership, they are all nouns. Words ending with ITY, that is activity, they are nouns. Words ending with TY like loyalty or royalty, they are nouns. Words ending with NESS like happiness or sadness, they are all nouns. Furthermore, you have words ending with ITUDE. I call it as ITUde. So words ending with ITUde like attitude, gratitude, they are all nouns. Words ending with ANC like dance, they are nouns. Words ending with ENC like independence, they are all nouns. So these are a set of suffixes that can help you identify which words are nouns in your options or in your passage. Moving forward, I always teach students the golden rule of finding out nouns. So there is a golden rule to find out nouns, that is that if any word fits between the and of, it is a noun. So any word that can fit between the and of, it is a noun. Okay. If I give you an example, when I take the word accomplish. So if I take the word accomplish, okay, I cannot say the accomplish of this person is very good. I can't say the accomplish of this person is very good. Okay. I can say the accomplishment of this person is great. Okay, so over here I can understand that whatever word fits between the and of, that can only become a noun. So if I say accomplish can't really fit between the and of. The accomplish of this person, though. We say the accomplishment of this person is great. So over there, MENT words ending is a noun. So that gives an understanding that the golden rule says that anything that comes between the and of is a noun. Now let us take words such as thinking. So if I take the word thinking, okay, now thinking is ideally a verb, but what happens is in the English language there are strange rules which tell us that any word can double up as a verb and a noun, or it can double up as a verb and an adjective, or as an adjective and a noun, something like that. Okay, so if I take this word thinking over here and I apply it to my golden rule and I say the thinking of this person is really great. This makes sense. The thinking of this person is really great. So over here, this gives me an understanding that the word thinking can be a noun as well. So whenever you guys are stuck in your PTE exam and you are not able to figure out that what type of word to use from the options, try using this golden rule. It can give you more hints and it can improve your accuracy when solving your blanks. Okay, so always remember the golden rule, which tells us that anything between the and of is a noun. Moving forward, that is all we need to know about nouns. Now let us move to the other types of parts of speech. So next is verbs. So whenever people ask me, ma'am, what are verbs? I say that verbs are action words. So whenever a word is representing any sort of an action, it is a verb. Okay. So action words, any action you say, let's say playing. So if I'm playing games, play is an action. So play over there is a verb. If I talk about earning money is an action. So when I'm talking about earn, that is an action. Sleep, working, running, caught, directed, they are all type of verbs. Okay, when I'm saying that the ball was caught, the catching action over there is a verb. So this represents us that any word that represents an action is a verb. Now let's talk about the identification. Again, the way we have learned the identification of nouns, you should also know the identification of verbs. So any word from the option, you should be able to identify whether it is a verb or not. So the identification rule of verbs says that if you can add ed or ing after any word, then it is a verb. Okay, so let me give you an example over here. Again, let's take the word accomplish. Okay, so in this word accomplish, I can add ed at the end and make it a proper word like accomplished, or I can add ing at the end and make it a proper word like accomplishing. So accomplish becomes accomplished or accomplishing. These two are actual words, so they represent us that it is a word. But what if I tell you about accomplishment? Accomplishment, if I take this word accomplishment, it becomes accomplishmented after adding ed, or it becomes accomplishmenting after adding ing. And accomplishmented or accomplishmenting are not real words, so that gives us an idea that it is not a word. So the similar way, if you are unsure, just try adding ed or ing after the end of a word and it makes sense, that means it is a verb. Okay, now it is very important that you guys understand that there are three types of verbs. Okay, so when you talk about three forms of verbs, there it is v1, that is the present or the base form of verb, then is v2, that is the past form of verb, and then there is v3, which is the past participle form of verb. Okay, so I have made a table here to show you the differences. So you see v1, which is the present form of verb, you have words like sing, drink, play, they are all v1. If you talk about v2, which is the past form of verb, you have words like sang, drank, played, etc. If you talk about v3, which is past participle, you have words like sung, drunk, played, etc. So these are the different types of verbs we have. So you will go like from sing to sang to sung. So that is v1, v2, v3. Same way you have drink, drank, drunk. So this gives us an example that some words can have different spellings in all three forms. Okay, so you have sing, sang, sung, drink, drank, drunk. But if you look at most of the words that are play, played, played, instruct, instructed, instructed. So most of the times what happens is your v2 and v3 remain the same. Okay, so v2 and v3 are mostly the words ending with ed, and with some words what happens is they remain the same throughout. So cut remains the same throughout. Puts remains the same throughout. Same with spread remains the same throughout. And some words have their v1 and v3 the same. So you have become, became, become once again. Okay, so this is your three forms of verb. It is very important that whenever you have a verb in front of you, you should know the three forms of that verb. Okay, because you don't know what type of verb you need where. Now once we are clear with the three forms of verbs, that summarizes everything that we need to know about verbs. The first thing is that they are action words, they represent actions, and then there are three forms, that is V1, V2, V3, that is present or the base form of verb, past form or past participle form respectively. And the identification is that whenever you have a word and you can add ed and ing after that word, it becomes a verb. Next we have adjectives. So let us talk everything about adjectives. So what are adjectives? Whenever people ask me, ma'am, what are adjectives? I say that they are describing words. So whenever a word comes and gives a description of some other word, it is an adjective. So let's say good. Okay, I had a good day. That means what kind of a day I had? Good day. Okay. She is a very happy person. So what kind of a person she is? She is very happy. Same way, emotional, huge, spectacular. They are all adjectives. Now what happens with your adjectives is they always describe nouns. So you know by now with our nouns, now the simple words that just exist by themselves. Now whenever a word comes and gives a description of a simple word or a noun, that becomes an adjective. Okay, so if I give you an example here, you have good boy. Tall tower. How is the tower? It is tall. Spectacular show. So how was the show? It was spectacular. Okay, so these are all nouns. So this is a noun. This is a noun. This is a noun. Okay, they are all nouns and these words are here to describe them. So they are all adjectives. Now what happens is you should know the position of adjectives. Okay, so whenever you can identify adjectives very easily. When you talk about a word, you read a word and you feel like, okay, this is like a description, so it is an adjective. But you should know the position of adjectives in a sentence, because adjectives have very strict positions in a sentence. So 99% of the times, I always tell my students that 99% of the times your adjectives will come before nouns. Okay, that means if I give you an example, this is a fantastic plan. So plan over here is a noun and this is your adjective coming right before your noun. So 99% of the times your adjectives will come before the noun. So that is the way they can describe that noun. So when I say this is a plan, what kind of a plan it is? It is a fantastic plan. So if the word fantastic comes right before the word plan, then it can give it a description. And what happens is the other 1% of the times they can come after helping words. Now what do I mean by helping words? Helping words are words such as is, am, are, was, were, be, been, feel or seen. So your adjectives can come after these helping words as well. So if I give you an example, my students are intelligent. So over here you see the word are and the word intelligent. So what kind of students I have? I have intelligent students. So my students are intelligent. I am upset. So when I'm saying I'm upset, and over here is a helping word and I'm going to describe how I'm feeling. So I'm feeling upset or I am upset, like that. The results could be devastating. Again, devastating is an adjective over here and be is a helping verb. Again, you have this plan feels right. So right is an adjective over here and feels is a helping verb. So how do you think about this plan? It feels right, like that. So this is how your adjectives can also be placed after your helping verbs. Now, this is a very important tip that I ask students to remember at all the times. Please mark it as a very important thing, because when you guys are solving your PTE exam, what you guys feel is that words ending with ed or ing can only become verbs. No, that's not the case. Okay, verbs with ed or ing such as devastated or annoying can be used as adjectives as well. Okay, so if there is a verb which is ending with ing, or if there is a verb, it's V3 form, or I say the ed form or the past participle form, they can double up as adjectives. Guys, please remember this very well. Any verbs that are end with ed or ing, they can double up as adjectives. Okay, so if I give you an example, the war left us with devastating results. What kind of results there? So you see results is a noun over here and devastating is an adjective. So what kind of results were left? Devastating results were left. Her actions were annoying me. Okay, so over here as well, annoying. How was I feeling? I was feeling annoying. Okay, so again, this is an adjective over here, and this is a noun. So guys, you have to understand that your verbs ending with ed or ing can double up as adjectives. So please be mindful of that. Whenever you need an adjective in the blank, try to also look for verbs with ed or ing at the end, because they can be your adjectives in the blanks as well. Moving up towards the last type of parts of speech here, that is adverbs. Now what are adverbs? Okay, so adjectives were describing words. Now adverbs are modifying words. Okay, what they do is they come and they modify the tone of the sentence, or they will modify some part of the sentence over there. So if I talk about words like increasingly, happily, fairly, soon, very, they are all adverbs. Their job is that, okay, I'll come with a sentence and I'll modify how the sentence has been presented to you. Okay, so what are adverbs? So what is the job of adverbs? So what is the function or the role of adverbs in a sentence? They will come and they will modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. So basically, adverbs will come and they will modify verbs, they will modify adjectives, or they will modify other adverbs. Okay, let us look at some examples and understand them. She played the piano fantastically. How did she play the piano? She played the piano fantastically. The weather is very cold outside. How cold is the weather outside? It's very cold. And often they were late to class. So how they were late to class I am often never late to class. So over here what happens is the word piano, or rather I would say the whole thing, playing the piano, is a verb. Okay, the word cold over here is an adjective, and the word never over here and the word often over here, they are both adverbs. Okay, so you see how an adverb comes in the position and it modifies the verbs over here. How she's playing piano. How is she playing the piano? She's playing it fantastically. Or I will just say the weather is dash cold outside. So we know that the weather is cold outside, but is it less cold or too much cold? It is very cold. Okay. Again, I am never late to class. Okay, so when I'm saying I'm never late to class, what is the frequency? I'm often never late to class. Okay, so this is how adverbs go with verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. Now, there are certain tips that we are supposed to remember about your adverbs. The very first, very important thing to remember about adverbs is that all ly words are adverbs. Please make a note of this one. This is very important, guys. All ly words are adverbs. So words ending with ly like happily, fairly, they are all adverbs. But that doesn't mean that only ly words are adverbs. Guys, please remember that I've said all ly words are adverbs. Okay, not only. You do have other adverbs as well. So if I note down some other adverbs for you, it can be very, soon, today, tomorrow. Okay, or let's say never, often. They are all adverbs as well. So guys, understand that ly words are adverbs and other words can also be adverbs. Okay, now adverbs can come at any position in the sentence. Okay, adverbs can come at the start of the sentence as well. It can come at the end of the sentence as well. It can come in the middle of the sentence as well. As we saw in the last three examples, she played the piano fantastically. Now fantastically is coming at the end of the sentence. The same way, I am often never late to class. So they are coming somewhere in the middle of the sentence. So basically, adverbs can come at any point in the sentence. Okay, if I give you an adverb coming at the start of the sentence, it can be like never speak in the examination hall. So over here, never is an adverb. Okay, so this is how your adverbs can come at the start of the sentence as well. And one thing that we have to be very, 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 very mindful of is they cannot come before nouns. Okay, because before nouns we have adjectives. So always remember, guys, before nouns we have adjectives. Basically what happens is your adverbs have no relation with nouns. Okay, adverbs don't have really relations with nouns. They only have relations with verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. Adjectives have a relationship with nouns. So before a noun you can only have an adjective. Apart from that, anywhere else you can put an adverb in the sentence. But remember, adverbs do not have any relationships with nouns. So that was the 4 parts of speech that we are supposed to learn for your PTE exam. We do have the others as well. It's not like they will not assess you on the other parts of speech at all. But as I told you, 70% of the times you will see that these 4 are missing somewhere or the other. Okay, as we keep going forward, I will teach you these other parts of speech as well. Now, one thing that you have to learn, one thing I will just say for recap is that nouns are simple words. Verbs are actions, adjectives are description or describing words, and adverbs are modifying verbs. So this is the things that you have to remember for these 4 parts of speech. Now let's move forward, okay, and let's understand the technique that you can use for your blanks. Okay, now let me tell you one thing straight away, guys. There is no straightforward strategy. Okay, it cannot happen that, okay, I'll show you one question and you'll understand the whole of reading. These are all techniques that you can apply to quicken up the process, to get better accuracy and get better hold of your PTE reading. Okay, I really encourage you guys to practice them too many times so you are mastering them before your exam. So whenever you go in your exam, this is how your question generally looks like. Okay, so whenever we have a sentence in the passage and the sentence has a blank in it, so this is your blank. Now you have to find out what is grammatically missing in this blank. So always find out what is grammatically missing in this blank. So is the blank missing an adverb? Is the blank missing a noun? Is the blank missing an adjective? Or what is the blank exactly missing? Now the technique to find this thing out is that you have to read the sentence without the blank. So what you will do is you will read this part of the sentence and you will read this part of the sentence. You will ignore the blank. Okay, you will ignore the blank and read the other part of the sentence. So what will happen in that case is you will be turning out with 2 cases over there. So scenario number 1 is going to be that the sentence will sound incomplete or it will not make sense. So if I give you an example here, he is a dash to be. So as per the strategy, what I'll do is I'll read the sentence without the blank. So I'll ignore this blank and I'll read the rest of it. He is a to be. Okay, so this is your sentence, guys. Does it make sense? No. It does not make any sense over there. Okay, he is or to be. What is he to be? Okay, it does not make any sense. Or the second scenario will go something like this, that your sentence will be complete or it will make sense. So again, I have a sentence here. He is a dash friend to me. Again, I will apply our technique that read the sentence without the blank. Okay. Again, I'll not read this blank and I'll read the other part of the sentence. It says he is a friend to me. Okay. Now over here, you see this is this a complete sentence? Yes. It is a very well complete sentence, guys. Okay. So what happens is in both of these scenarios, whenever you are having an incomplete sentence that does not make sense, you are either missing a noun or you are missing a verb in the sentence. Okay, so when I say over here he is a dash to be, he is a friend to me. Okay, so over here the word friend is missing. Okay, and friend is a noun. So you see over there, any sentence cannot be complete without a noun or a verb. Now over here, if your sentence is complete or it does make sense, that means you are either missing an adjective or you are missing an adverb. So over here you see, we can put an answer like he is a good friend to me. Again, good friend, that means the word good is an adjective over there. So you see, if there is a verb, if there is a sentence and the sentence is a blank and you are unsure whether what kind of word shall I put in over there? What you will do is you will read the sentence without the blank. What you will do is you will ignore this blank and you will read the rest part of the sentence. Then you will decide whether it is making sense to you or it is not making sense to you. Based on that, you will decide whether to put a noun, verb, adjective or an adverb. Now, a lot of students tell me that, ma'am, okay, I read the sentence without the blank and I understand that it is incomplete, it does not make sense. Now, whether it is a noun or a verb missing, guys, please be very, very straightforward here. If the noun is already given in the sentence, that means the verb is missing. If the verb is given in the sentence, then the noun is missing, okay? And with the adjectives and the adverbs, you will always use the possessions. Okay, so whenever you guys tell me that how to find out whether an adjective is missing or an adverb is missing, you will look at the position. Okay, if the blank is coming before a noun, that means you are missing an adjective. So if the blank is coming before a noun, that means you are missing an adjective. Okay, otherwise you will be missing an adverb. So if the blank comes right before a noun, you are missing an adjective. Otherwise, you will be missing an adverb. Okay. So I hope now this part makes sense to you very well. Okay. Even over here, between a noun or a verb, if a noun is already given to you, that means a verb is missing, or if the verb is already given to you, the noun is missing in the sentence. Okay. Let us look at some more examples over here. So if you see the word, the dash of the office is accessible from a public transport. Okay, so now again over here what I'll do is I will read the sentence without the blank. So I will read the of the office is accessible from public transport. So again over here accessible or whatever, I can say that, okay, accessible is a verb given already. This sentence does not make sense. So that means it is a noun missing. So your location is a noun over here. He dashed the price of the dress. He the price of the dress. Again, I will read this sentence without the blank. He the price of the dress. This doesn't make sense. And price of the dress. This is already a noun given to me. That means I will put a verb that is underestimated. So he underestimated the price of the dress. There was an dash in the technical code. Okay. Again, I will read this sentence without the blank. There was an in the technical code. Okay, that does not make sense. So again, I'll need a noun over here. So that is my noun. There was an error in the technical code. Let us dash this plan of action. Okay, again, let us read this blank without, read the sentence without a blank. Let us this plan of action. This does not make sense. Plus, over here, plan of action. Noun is already mentioned, so we are left with the verb. I will add the word discuss. So let us discuss this plan of action. Let us look at the other two sentences. The dash of corruption in the country meant that economy dashed considerably. Okay. Again, what I'll do is I will divide this sentence into parts and I will read them without the blank. So I will first read up till here without the blank. So the dash of corruption in the country. The of corruption in the country. This doesn't make sense, guys. So I will go with either a noun or a verb. Now the corruption in the country, this is a noun already given to me. So I will go with the word increase and fill my verb there. The increase of corruption in the country meant that the economy dashed considerably. So that the economy considerably, this does not make sense either if read without the blank. The economy considerably. So again, I will put either a noun or a verb. Again, the verb is missing over here, guys, because the economy is a noun already given to you. So I will put declined. Now the whole sentence can be completed like the increase of corruption in the country meant that the economy declined considerably. Same way you will read ahead like humans have dashed the earth's resources beyond its dash to dash them. Again, let's read it word by word. So here I will read up till here. Humans have dashed the earth's resources. So humans have the earth's resources. This does not really make sense. So humans have earth's resources. This is a noun here. So I will put a verb now and fill it up. So humans have depleted the earth's resources beyond its to dash them. So beyond its to dash them. Again, this over here does not make sense without this blank, so I will put a noun over here. So noun is ability, beyond its ability to them. Again, beyond its ability to them, without this blank also the sentence is not making sense. So I will put another verb, regenerate. Now again, the whole sentence can be completed with these words like humans have depleted the earth's resources beyond its ability to regenerate them. So this is how, what you will do is, you will, if you have multiple multiple blanks within a sentence, you can just break them down through like 4-5 words apart, and then you can just try to figure out what's going on over there using your technique, which says that you always read the sentence without the blank. Right, so that was some examples of incomplete sentences. Let us look at some examples for completed sentences. So you should know the dash to solve this issue. Okay, now my technique tells me that you have to read the sentence without the blank. So I will not read this blank here, and I'll read the rest part of it. You should know the technique to solve this blank. This makes sense. You should know the technique to solve this blank. But if you still have a blank given, that means you will put either an adjective or an adverb. So over here, what happens is, this is my noun, my blank is coming before a noun, so I will put an adjective. So my adjective there is correct. So you should know the correct technique to solve this issue. Spring is the dash time to start your own garden. Again, I will read the sentence without the blank. Spring is the time to start your own garden. Again, this makes sense over here. Again, my time is my noun, so the blank is before a noun, so I'll put an adjective. So spring is the perfect time to start your own garden. Now when I put the word perfect there, which is an adjective, it completes the sentence. Please write the in-text citations in a dash flow or in a flow. This makes sense by itself. Again, if you have a blank, that means it's either going to be an adjective or an adverb, but this here is a noun, blank is before a noun, so we will go with an adjective. So please write the in-text citations in a narrative flow. Okay, this completes the sentence over there. Pollen allergy is dash increasing in recent times. Now let us read this sentence without the blank. Pollen allergy is increasing in recent times. This is a complete sentence, guys. Now what I'll do is, again, I'll look whether it's an adjective or an adverb to be going there. Again, here it is a verb given to me, okay? That means there is no relation with a noun, that I will be putting an adverb. Okay, so pollen allergy is rapidly increasing in the recent times. India is going to become the largest exporter of rice dash. Again, when I read this sentence without the blank, India is going to become the largest exporter of rice. This does make sense. Again, I have a blank. Now with this blank, it will either be an adjective or an adverb. But over here, it's a modifying sentence because the nouns are not after the blank. So I will go with an adverb, that is soon. So now I can read it like India is going to become the largest exporter of rice soon. If you cannot manage the job with studies, you should take part-time study loan. Again, I will read this sentence without the blank. If you cannot manage job with studies, you should take part-time study loan. This sentence does make sense without the blank. So what I'll do is either adjective or an adverb. Again, there is no noun given before after the blank, so I will go with an adverb. So I will put the word perhaps. Okay. If you cannot manage job with studies, perhaps you should take part-time study loan. So this is how you will complete the sentence once again. So I hope you have understood now what to do with your parts of speech. Okay. So with your parts of speech, you already know what is a noun, verb, adjective, or an adverb very well now. Your technique. Guys, please don't forget your technique. Your technique is to read the sentence without the blank. So your technique is to read the sentence without the blank, and then you have to find out whether it is incomplete or it doesn't make sense, or it is complete and it does make sense. So neither of the two cases. Over here you will be either selecting a noun or a verb, and over here you will either be selecting an adjective or an adverb. So this is your whole parts of speech summarized over here. I really hope that you guys are understanding this. Okay, and I really hope you guys are making notes throughout, because I don't want you guys to go back to the video again and look about for these things. Please make a note, thorough notes. Okay, now let us try and solve a real life question over here. So I have got an actual question from the PTE section itself. So this is for your reading fill in the blanks. Now let us start using the technique that we have learned so far into these blanks. The deserts which already dash approximately a fourth of the Earth's land surface have in recent decades been dashed at an alarming pace. Okay. Now let me read this sentence without this blank over here. The deserts which already approximately a fourth of the Earth's land surface have in recent decades been dashed. Okay. Now this sentence here does not make sense. It sounds incomplete. So if the sentence sounds incomplete, I either have to put a noun or a verb. But if you see over here, the deserts and fourth of the Earth's surface, the nouns are already given in the sentence. Okay. So what you will do is you will put a verb in this blank. So I will mark it here that I need a verb in this blank. Okay, now let me see what verb fits. So what are the verbs given over here? Always try to narrow down your options first, guys. So you see the verb given to me over here is occupy. So occupy is my verb. I have been given reveal as a verb. I have been given opposing. I have been given threatened, increasing and calibrated. So at least I could remove two options over there. Okay, now when I read this sentence again, I can't say which already calibrated. Calibrating is not possible when you're talking about desert. So at the Earth's surface, so what happens is the desert is sitting on the Earth's surface. So it is, using the area of that Earth's surface. So it is occupying that area. Okay, so what I will do is I'll put occupy as my first answer, because that makes sense there. The deserts which already occupy approximately a fourth of the land's surface have in recent decades been dashed at an alarming pace. Again, I'll read this part of the sentence without the blank there. So I will ignore this blank here and I'll read it. Have in recent decades been at an alarming pace. Again, this sentence sounds incomplete to me. So what have they been doing there? Or what is going on over there? This part is not mentioned yet. So either I'll put a noun or a verb over here. Okay. So again, alarming pace and deserts, because the what we are talking about is the desert. So still the main subject of the blank is deserts. We have not changed the subject since it's in the within the same sentence. So deserts is the noun which is carried forwarded here. Alarming pace is another noun. That means the nouns are already clearly mentioned. Now we need another verb. Now I have already put occupy as one of my answers. So let me look for other verbs. Have in the recent decades been calibrated. Again, there is no calibration, there is no collaboration or any sort of those things going on over here. Threaten, the deserts won't really threaten anyone else. Reveal, they are not really opening up a surprise or something. Opposing, they are not even debating against someone. So the only logical answer left over here is increasing. So I will go on with increasing. Okay. The expansion of desert-like conditions into areas where they did not dash exist is called desertification. Okay, again let us read this sentence without the blank here. The expansion of desert-like conditions in areas where they did not exist is called desertification. Now over here you see the sentence sounds complete to you. So either you will put an adjective or an adverb. Now based on the position of the sentence, I can see that this word is a verb. That means there is no relation with a noun, so you'll go with an adverb. Now there are only two adverbs given to you over here. So this is my adverb and this is my adverb here. So let me try and figure out. So when I put the word did not properly exist, so there is, when you talk about existence of a desert, there is no properly or improperly going on over there. What they are trying to say is If there was no desert over here in the previous times and the desert appears now, that means this process will be called as desertification. So that's why I will put previously as my third answer here. Let us read ahead. It has been estimated that an additional 1/4 of the Earth's land surface is dashed by this process. Okay, again, let us read this sentence without this blank here. It has been estimated that an additional 1/4 of the land surface is by this process. Again, this does not make sense. Is by this process. What is happening by this process? Okay, so again, it will go by the noun or a verb. Nouns are already given. Okay, so you will go with a verb. Okay, now you can see that again, I will not say reveal by this process. There is no opening of a surprise. There is no opposition here, so they will also not make sense. There is no collaboration, so calibrated or carving or anything is not making sense. So I will only put threatened as my correct answer. So this way I earned 4 marks in my PTE exam. So this is how you can use your parts of speech to quicken up the process. A lot of times students who don't really know their basics very well, they will try to put all the answers one by one. So they will put previously for the first answer, they'll put calibrated, they'll put increasing, and that's where they will start making mistakes. Okay, the other thing that you could have identified over here was that all the options, none of them are nouns. If you remember the suffixes or the golden rule of finding out the nouns, you can understand that none of the options are nouns. Okay, so whenever you will have your blanks, it will only be a verb. If the sentence doesn't make sense, it will only be a verb that is missing in the sentences. I cannot say that all of the options are not even adjectives, even though we did not use any adjective in the blank. But if you remember the adjective rule, which tells that verbs with ing or verbs with V3 or ed can double up as adjectives. That way I cannot simply say that there are no adjectives given in the option. There are adjectives given in the form of calibrated, increasing, threatened and opposing. But I can safely say that there are no nouns given in this options. So whenever you are having a situation where the sentence does not make sense, it sounds incomplete, so you will only be putting verbs because there are no nouns given in the sentence. So this is how you will narrow down your options and work with them. A lot of times I've seen that students don't know this basics, and when there is a verb required, they will put an adverb, or when there is an adverb required, they will put a verb, and they will make mistakes at the end. Alright, let us try doing one more question here. The slow process of global warming may have a different dash on various regions. So again, let me just read this sentence without this blank. The slow process of global warming may have a different on various regions. Again, what different? That is not mentioned here. So either this will be a noun or a verb. Let me see if they have a verb given. No, so the only thing that makes sense is a noun. Okay, again we have an adjective because there is no noun in the sentence. Alright, so let us check the nouns that are there in the options. So this is a noun. Okay, this is a noun. This can also be a verb as well, guys. Okay, accounts can be a noun. So accounts, when it used as form of records, it is a noun. Accounts, when they take it in the form of responsibility, it can be a verb. So as I told you at the start of this video that words can double up as nouns and verbs as well. Words can double up as adjectives and verbs as well. This is one classic case of that. Accounts, when talked about records, is a noun, but accounts, when talked as for responsibility, becomes a verb. Again, lastly, we have format, and we have impact, and we have continent as nouns over here. So whenever you have something on something here, we are talking about global warming, we can't have different iceberg. It cannot make different icebergs in regions. Different accounts. So when you this doesn't make sense either. format, again it cannot change the format or the shape of something. So the last thing we are left with, continent or impact. Again, continent, it is not, global warming is not making a new continent, but it is really having some consequences. So I'll put impact as my first answer. So you see how, at least from the given set of options, I'm able to think quickly, because I know that okay, I'm only supposed to look at these 4 options over here rather than the 8 options at the start. Okay, for New Zealand, the emission of carbon dioxide only dash for 0.5% of the world's total, which has met the governmental standard. Okay, let's read this sentence without the blank. For New Zealand, the emission of carbon dioxide only for 0.5% of the world's total. Again, this sentence does not make sense over here, but we do understand that the emission of carbon dioxide and world's total, these are the nouns given already. So nouns are already given in the sentence. So now we will be putting a verb over here. Okay, so I'll just mark that we need a verb over here. Okay, now let us look at the verbs that we have. So this is a verb. Okay, then this is a verb, this is a verb. So we only have 3 verbs over here: consists, accounts, aggregate. Okay, now I cannot say consists for. Consist for doesn't sound right. We always say consist of. So over here, that doesn't make sense. Now this is emission. So emission, let's say emission accounts makes sense. Emission aggregate does make sense. If it was aggregates, it would have still been grammatically correct. So the way we say student studies and students studies, so that is the formula we are applying here. So we will say accounts is our second answer. Plus, if you go with the vocabulary of the sentence, they are saying that New Zealand's carbon dioxide emission is responsible for 0.5% of the total carbon emission in the world. So it is taking a responsibility there. So when I talk about responsibility, I say accounts for over there. So that was my second answer. I have given you the explanation based on grammar and on vocab. So make sure you take notes of that. Which has met the governmental standard. However, New Zealand's effort counts only a tip of the dash. Let's read this without the blank. New Zealand's efforts counts only a tip of the. This doesn't make sense, guys. Either we need a noun or the verb. Again, counts is the verb given already. So here we need a noun. Alright, so out of the 4 nouns there, I have already used impact, so I won't be putting that again. Again, tip of a continent doesn't make sense. Tip means that it has to be like a cone shape, something that we could talk about the peak of. So over here, tip of the iceberg is the only thing that will make sense, because if the iceberg is in a conical shape, then we can talk about its tip over here. Like that. So that's like a visual representation. Okay, let's read further. So far, global warming has been a world issue that still hangs in and dash future. Alright, let us read this sentence completely without this blank over here. So far, global warming has been a world issue that still hangs in the future. So over here, this sentence does make sense without this blank. So either we need an adjective or an adverb. But you see, guys, over here, future is a noun. So that means we need an adjective in this case. Okay. Let us look at the adjectives we have over here, guys. The only adjective we have over here is ambiguous. So straight away, this will be my 4th answer. Okay, now see, this is how you can quicken up your process. Okay, if you are not sure which ones are adjectives or how to find the adjectives, you will be trying to look for all the options that are given there. You will make mistakes, you will take too much time. But okay, with the technique you get to know that I need an adjective, and only adjective here is ambiguous because the rest are nouns or verbs. So that's the only thing I will put in the answer. So this is how you quicken up your process, solve your blanks accurately and quickly. Alright, let us take some examples of your reading writing blanks as well. So here I have a sentence, a passage. Let us read this passage one by one. Shakespeare is widely regarded as the greatest playwright of all time, but he did not create his stories by dash. Okay, now let us read this sentence. Shakespeare is widely regarded as the greatest playwright of all time, but he did not create his stories by, okay, again, this does not make sense over here. Again, by whom are the stories created? Okay, so by he is wrong, pronoun by him is wrong, by his own is, though we did generally say that I did this on my own, or he did this on his own, but that's slang English. That's incorrect way of saying. Himself is the correct way of saying things over here. So whenever in your general English as well, we talk about he did this on his own, that is wrong. He did this himself. That is grammatically correct English. He borrowed and adapted the plots of his plays from various sources such as old tales, Italian writers, prose fictions, historical accounts, and the classical works. He was a dash reader who had moderate acquaintance with the literary achievements of other men and of other ages. So let us read this sentence without the blank. Okay, when you read the sentence without the blank, it goes like, he was a reader who had a moderate acquaintance with the literary achievements. Now you see over here that this sentence is making sense without the blank, so you will either put an adjective or an adverb. Alright, now from these adjectives and these adverbs, all of these are either adjectives or adverbs, but you see over here that this is a noun, so that means you only need an adjective in this blank. So let us look at the adjectives. So satisfactorily will straight away be wrong answer, because satisfactorily, ly is an adverb. You don't need an adverb, you need an adjective over here. So here you can't say he's a descriptive reader. Descriptive reader doesn't make sense. Biased reader, okay, we are not saying that he is having, so far in the sentence we have not mentioned that he is only favoring one side of the story that he reads. So I will say he's a keen reader. That means he reads too much. Okay. Now let's read further. He read books in different languages and genres and was influenced by some of his contemporaries such as Marlowe Spencer and Sidney. However, Shakespeare was not a dash imitator or plagiarist. Let's read this sentence without this blank. Shakespeare was not an imitator or plagiarist. So again, this sentence makes sense without the blank. That means we need an adjective or an adverb. Again, imitator, words ending with or, that means it is a noun. So when a word ends with or word ends with ist, they are nouns. So if a word is coming before a noun, it has to be an adjective. So let us look at adjectives over here. Again, we will be ruling out merely, because merely is an adverb, and we will also remove vain because vain is a noun. So you see, out of 4 options, you are down to 2 options. That means even if you guys are in a hurry or something, your chances of going wrong are very less now. Okay, so he was a valid imitator. We are not talking about whether he was right or wrong anywhere in the sentence, so we will go with the word mere. Mere means he was just enough. Okay, so he was just a simple imitator or plagiarist. He transformed his sources by excluding undramatic material, developing characters, rearranging the plot, introducing a wider philosophical dash, and elevating the dialogue and his imaginative writing. Again, let's read this sentence without this blank over here. Okay, the sentence now says that he transformed his sources by excluding undramatic material, developing characters, rearranging the plot, introducing a wider philosophical, and elevating the dialogue. Again, this sentence doesn't make sense without a blank, so we either need a noun or a verb over here. Now you see, the verbs are already given: developing characters, rearranging this, introducing this, elevating this, excluding this. Okay, so the verbs are already given in the sentence. That means the noun is missing here. So now let us look at the nouns over there. So you see, enhancing is a verb, enhanced is a verb, outlook is a verb. So the straight away answer, outlook is a verb, so straight away answer is outlook. So this is how you can be faster with your blanks, guys. He infused his plays with his own genius, creativity, and originality, making them unique and timeless. He also added his own touches of humor, irony, and tragedy, creating a rich, complex, dramatic experience for his audiences. Shakespeare's plays are not just dash of his sources, but masterpieces of his own. Let us read this sentence without this blank. Shakespeare's plays are not just of his sources. Again, this doesn't make sense. Not just of what. Okay. So either you need a noun or a verb over here. Again, the verb is there. This is an adjective, so I can say that noun is missing. Alright, so I cannot say vehicles. Okay, place cannot be vehicles. That doesn't make sense, guys. Prospect is the way of me looking something. So again, that is really sound well here. Elements, they are not parts of something, but they are the story in itself. So copies is your correct and final answer over here. Let us look at this other question that I have got over here for your reading writing blanks. Crocodiles today look very dash to ones from Jurassic period, some 200 million years ago. So let us read this sentence without this blank over here. Crocodiles today look very to ones from the Jurassic period, some 200 million years ago. So again, this does make sense over here, guys. They are looking something like them. Okay, very like them. That means they are looking something similar to them. Okay, let us try and find out our adjectives here, because you see there's a adverb given here. So that means now you need an adjective to fill this part. Okay, we will not choose a noun because the sentence is complete already. So over here, similarly is an adjective, similarity is a noun, familiar is an adjective, and similar is an adjective. Alright, so I can't say they look very familiar to someone. Familiar means resemblance. They are not resembling them, they are not a copy of them, but they are looking identical. That means they are looking similar to them. Okay, there are also very few species alive today, just 25. Other animals such as lizards and birds have a variety of many thousand species in the same amount of time or less. Now let us read this sentence without the blank. Other animals such as lizards and birds have a diversity of many thousand species. This sentence sounds incomplete without the blanks, guys. Okay, now you see diversity of many thousand species, the noun is given. That means let's look for some verb. Again over here, realization is the only word and achievement is the only word that I can remove. Again, when you talk about have dash, okay, whenever you have the word have, the grammar says that after that you should have V3 or the past participle form of verb. So let us go with achieve, because attain will be grammatically wrong. Okay, and also when you talk about attain is when you're having academic achievements or something. So like he attained this achievement. This is how we use the word attain for. When you're talking about things about multiplication of species or something, you say achieved. Okay. Moving forward, you have prehistory also saw types of crocodile we don't see today, including giants as big as dinosaurs, plant eaters, fast runners, and serpentine forms that lived in the sea. Crocodiles follow a pattern of dash known as a punctuated equilibrium. Okay, so crocodiles follow a pattern of known. That doesn't make sense without the over there. So we need a noun or a verb. Okay, known is the verb given already. So let us look for a noun. So verbs will be evolving and unfolding will straight away be wrong. Either it will be evolution or development. So when you talk about development is something already exists and it has become better. So we are not saying that they have become better anywhere. We are just saying that they were very giant and now they are very small or something like that. So they have changed over time. So they are following a pattern of evolution. The rate of their evolution is generally slower. Now see over here also, that is a hint given that we can use the word evolution in the previous blank. Is generally slow, but occasionally they evolve more dash because the environment has changed. So let's read this sentence without the blank. But occasionally they evolve more because the environment has changed. Now this sentence does make sense that they are evolving more than they were doing before. So if you still have a blank, you either put an adjective or an adverb. Over here there is no noun given over there, so we will select this blank is not before a noun. That means we can put an adverb over there. Let us look at adverbs. Quick is an adjective, short is an adjective, vast is an adjective, so we simply go with quickly. So they evolve more quickly. In particular, this new research suggests that their evolution dash up when the climate is warmer and that their body size increases. Let's read the sentence without this blank, guys. The research suggests that their evolution up with the climate. Okay, again, this does not make sense. So we either need a noun or a verb. The noun is already given, evolution is already given. So now you need a verb. Let us look for some verbs. Acceleration is a noun. Rapid is an adjective. Hurriedly is a verb. So that comes up with speeds. Okay, so this is how you can narrow down your options using parts of speech, and then you can answer your blanks quickly. Okay, I really encourage you guys to practice this method. So whenever you guys are solving your blanks next, try to take this technique into your blanks. Even though you know the answer, try to fit in this technique while solving. Okay, because your practice is not about getting things right, it's about learning the right method and learning new ways to solve them. Okay, what happens in the exam is a lot of students think that okay, if they were able to solve the blanks on the portal, that means they will be able to do it in the exam as well. But if the exam has a trickier question or the sentence structure is difficult, you should know the techniques that you will be able to use there, and that will only be possible if you use these techniques in your daily practice as well. So now you've understood how to solve this parts of speech. Let us move on to the other tasks, and I really suggest you guys to use it this way so you can do it quicker and better. Alright, the next thing that we are going to learn today is modals. So when you talk about words such as can, may, must, will, would, all of this, so they are called modals. Okay, let us understand what are modals. So basically, modals or modal auxiliaries are words that represent the intention of the sentence. So what is the intention of a sentence? What is the sentence trying to tell you? Okay, whether it is giving you an obligation, whether it's giving you a permission, a certainty, or a possibility, all of this happens with modals. Okay, so modals are words such as may, can, must, etc. Okay, so they are going to give you a possibility or a certainty or some sort of an obligation over there. The intention of a sentence is represented through the modals. Okay, now what are modals? So in both of your reading blanks, what happens is you can have sentences where you will have to fill the modal. So if you have seen words, questions where you have to fill may or must or can or could or shall or should, these are called modals. Okay, when you want to answer these kind of questions, you should know how to use your modals. So modals are decided. So how do you decide what kind of modal to use? Based on the expression of the sentence, whether the sentence wants to give you an obligation or the sentence wants to give you an uncertainty. Based on that, you will be deciding the type of modal. Okay, so what happens is we do have a very long list of modals, guys, but whenever you have your modal based questions, I've seen 90% of the times the modal based questions will be these kind of modals that are missing out over here. I've shown them on the screen. I'll explain them to you. The other types of modals which are not there on the screen over here, they are also representing the same thing but just different words. What you have to do is you should just know these modals and the reason why they exist or what expression they are showing in the sentence. So let us talk about must. Must shows obligation. So whenever you are talking about an obligation, you put the word must. You must follow the rules of the examination center. So this is like a 100% thing that has to be done, no excuses. So you must follow the rules of the examination center. Assignment submission must be done before the due date. So you have to submit the assignment before the due date. It is an obligation. That means you must submit it before the due date. When you talk about shall or should, you are talking about recommendation. So whenever I want to recommend something to someone, I use shall or should. If you do not understand the question, you should ask the tutor to repeat it. So over here, what I'm doing is I'm using the word should for some recommendation. Like you did not understand something, you should ask to repeat it. You shall be ready for your appointment in 1 hour. So I'm again giving a recommendation that from 1 hour from now, you shall be ready. If you are ready, that's better, like that. So whenever I'm giving shall or should, I'm talking about a recommendation. Will or would, guys, will or would go for future certainty. When something is going to 100% happen in the future. When something is going to 100% happen in the future, that means I use will or would with that. So the graduate seminar will be conducted next week. So 100% next week we are going to have the graduate seminar. So I will say it will be conducted next week. The government would set up the committee for the new budget. So, okay, 100% the government is going to set up a committee for the new budget. That means I would put would over there. Talking about may or might represent uncertainty, but that is 50-50 uncertainty, okay? If I give you an example, it may rain tomorrow, that means it can rain, it cannot rain. There is no certainty over here, okay? And the chances are 50-50 that it can rain, it cannot rain, okay? But when you, and same way when you say she may be late to class, she can be on time, she cannot be on time. She can be late, she cannot be late. Okay. Again, over here, there's an uncertainty, there's a possibility being shown, but the chances are 50-50. So they are not favoring any of the side over now. But when you put can or could, guys, this is very important to understand. Can or could also talk about uncertainty, but that is 70-30 uncertainty. Okay. Now what happens is can or could is you are trying to hold on to one side of the story more. So you are giving a biased uncertainty. That's when you use can or could. According to the weather report, it can rain tomorrow. So you see over here, we are saying it may rain tomorrow. There are 50-50 chances. But now I have the weather report along with me. So now my chances are favoring towards one side. So I will say it can rain tomorrow. The trains are delayed, so she can be late to class. Now, I have a reason over here that the trains are delayed, so she can be late to class. Now, the certainty over here becomes 70-30. That means I'm holding one side to the story more. Let us look at the differences. A lot of some students are confused whether it will be will or would, shall or should, may or might, can or could. The only difference between them is present and past participle. So will, shall, may and can, they are for present tenses. Whenever your sentences are in present or future tense, you use will, shall, may, can. Or if your sentences are in past tenses, that means you will use would, should, might or could. So they are the only difference between the two. Let us look at some more examples of how we use modals. So when I tell we should consider the possibility of alternative plan, that means I'm giving a suggestion that if this plan doesn't work, we should think about another plan. Okay. If you read the instructions, then you can easily solve the puzzle. So there are chances that you will be able to solve this puzzle. But if you read the instructions, it can be easier. So this is how you use the word can over there. You must keep quiet at the library. So if you are in the library, it is an obligation that you keep quiet. So you will use the word must over there. Researcher must infer the distribution for the total weight of gravity. Again, over here I'm using must. That means I'm showing that it's an obligation that whatever weight of gravity you have, you should infer it for the distribution purpose. What colors you choose can also affect the design. Okay. So over here, if I'm choosing suppose a red color, it can affect the design. If I'm choosing white color, it can affect the design. So based on the color decisions, the design can be affected. So here it is a possibility, it's an uncertainty, so I'll use can. When I was younger, I could stay awake all night studying for exams, but now I need at least 6 hours of sleep to function properly. Okay, so when I was younger, I could stay awake. Okay, so if there was a need, if there was an uncertainty, then I was awake. Okay, here see guys, this is how you use your expressions. Okay, it is nowhere given that when I was younger I had to stay awake 100% of the times. In that case, I would have put must as my answer. I must stay awake like that. But what happened is when I was younger, that means in the past tense, based on the situation, I was awake or I was not awake, like that. Shall we postpone the meeting until Monday so that everyone has enough time to prepare and review the documents? Again, over here, I'm giving a suggestion that so that everybody has enough time, we should postpone the meeting to Monday. So over here, shall is used as for recommendation. I would appreciate it if you could send me the finalized budget report before the end of the day, as I need it for reviews. So if you send me the report by the particular time, I will 100% appreciate it. So that's why I'm saying I would appreciate it. The management will review all the proposals submitted by the departments and announce the final decision during the board meeting. That means they will definitely review and they will definitely give the final answer. Okay, so I will put the word will over there. So this is how, based on the intention or the expression of the sentence, you will be using your modals. Alright, now let us try answering some real life questions based with modals. So I have got some PTE reading blanks and reading writing blanks over here which are based on modals. Now the question that you look on the screen is a classic example of question where there are modals to be filled from the options. But let me tell you clearly that what will happen in the exam is there are very rare chances that you will get a question like this where all of the options are based on modals. What can happen is one or two blanks in the passage can be based on modals. So the formula that you have to apply is you have to read the sentence, find its intention or the expression of the sentence and put a modal according to that. So let us read the passage that we have over here. The question of whether humans are truly free is more complex than it first appears. One dash assume that freedom involves acting without restraint, but that dash leads to chaos rather than liberation. Now over here, the first thing that I noticed is this R, which just gives me an example that the sentence is in the present tense, but that this word first appears. That means now we are talking about a time chronology and we move towards the past tense. That means my answers so far look like in the past tense. Now I'll read further. One dash assume that freedom involves acting without restraint. Okay, so that means that our first thought when we think about freedom is that it involves no restraints. We can do whatever we want. Okay, now this is a possibility. Okay, there is nowhere written that this is 100% going to be the thought for everyone, or it is nowhere written that it is the obligation that this is the only thought that people should have. So it's a possibility, but again there is no favor taken over here. It is a simple plain possibility. We are not really giving more importance to one side. So that is why I will say that might is my first answer over here, because this is a possibility which is a 50-50 possibility answer. Okay, let's read further. But that dash lead to chaos rather than liberation. Okay, now over here what we are doing is we are putting but. That means we are saying that this possibility so far is not 100% correct, and that is we are leading more towards one side. That okay, we are saying that people can't this is a possibility that people think freedom involves acting without restraint, but it is wrong because it can lead to more chaos than liberation. Okay, so over here the possibility becomes 70-30. It is still a possibility that it can lead to chaos, but now we are favoring more towards the chaos side. So that is why we will say that the second answer is could. Moving further, we have if individuals are to live meaningfully, they dash grapple with responsibility even when choices are difficult. Okay, now when you are reading this sentence, they are saying that if you want to live meaningfully, you have to grapple with responsibility. It's not that you can run away from your responsibilities. You have to live with responsibilities. So over here this is an obligation. Okay, so for obligations we put must as our answer. So must is my third answer over here. Some thinkers argue that people dash suffer the consequences of their actions to develop moral depth. So now people are arguing. Okay, so there is sort of a debate going on over here. There is no wrong or right in the debate, but when we are debating, what we are doing is we are putting up suggestions. So we are putting up our thoughts and ideas. So in that case, we will say that should is our fourth answer, because over here it is more like a recommendation. Okay, that some people argue or recommend that if you want to really live with moral depth, you should face your consequences. If you're running away from your consequences or responsibilities, you're not really living a morally correct life. Still, others believe that compassion dash coexist with accountability, urging us to rethink traditional notions of justice. Okay, now when we are again talking about coexisting or urging us to do something, we have come towards present tense once again. Okay, now what they are thinking is that okay, some people now say that living a morally correct life and doing your responsibilities correctly, this doesn't really go well together, and that is why we have to rethink the notions of our traditional justice. So in this case, what you are doing is you are again giving a possibility, but you are favoring one side of that possibility, so you will go with can. Okay. So this is how you will answer your questions based on model. At first, you might find them a bit tricky. I'll be honest with you guys, but it is just because you have to look at the in-depth notion of what's going on over there. Your sentences are not going to be very baby-like sentences, which are very straightforward to us. So please understand that whenever a passage is given to you, you have to think it more in depth. You have to analyze it more in depth so that you are able to find the expression and the intention correctly and answer the correct model over there. Let us move on to do some reading, writing, fill in the blanks for this question. Again, this is a classic question of modals and reading, writing blanks. Let us read the passage and answer it. As technology evolves, it transforms not only how we live but what it means to be human. Okay, so now here we are saying that when technology will transform, it transform not only how we live but what it means to be human. Okay, so again, this is a possibility we talked about over here. So we are talking about a possibility, okay, that we can learn how to be a human or we cannot learn how to be a human. Again, there is no favoring. They are not saying that okay, we we will learn how to be a human because it is more important, or because technology will be very scary. There is nothing favoring or biasness given over there. It is simple possibility, so I will go with may over here as my answer. Again, my answer is in present tense. The word evolves in simple present tense. This gives me an understanding that this sentence is in present tense, so I can't go with might. Again, can or could will go with 70-30 response possibility, so I can't really go with can or could. It has to be may over there. Then, artificial intelligence already outperform humans in narrow tasks, and future developments likely expand that scope. Okay. So again, what they are saying is artificial intelligence already outperform humans. So that means it is already doing that. Is it doing 100%? Is it doing it 70%? That's nowhere mentioned. It's a possibility that it can already do these things, and in the future it can be even better. Okay. So what we are saying here is that can is my first answer. Okay, because again, this is a possibility. It is nowhere mentioned that this is 100% going to happen in the future. In fact, we are not even talking about the future. So I can't go with will or would. Again, may is for 50-50. Here we have been given a little biasness. That means we are favoring towards one side. So I will not go with may, I will go with can. And future developments likely expand that scope. Now again, we are saying that 100% in the future this thing is going to happen, so I will go with will over here. That future developments will likely expand that scope. That means it will 100% expand that scope in the future. Scientists be careful not to prioritize progress over ethics, especially in fields like autonomous weapons or surveillance. Alright, so what the scientists have to do, scientists have to be careful about prioritizing the progress. That means if the technology or artificial intelligence becomes too much powerful, especially fields like autonomous weapons or surveillance, like in the fields of making bombs and everything, if that artificial intelligence becomes very powerful there, it can create destructions. Okay, that is why it is an obligation that scientists have to be careful about their progress. If they make it very powerful, there can be destruction as well. That is why we will go with the answer must over here. Governments create policies that regulate AI growth while protecting civil liberties and democratic values. Alright, let us understand the intent of this sentence. What the government is doing is it is trying to create policies that will regulate the AI while protecting civil liberties and democratic values. So that the AI doesn't become too much powerful, the government is trying to put forward some some policies that will help keep it in control. So again, this is like a suggestion, it's like a recommendation. So for recommendations, we go with should. Okay, so this is how you will understand the intent or the expression of a sentence and then mark your answer. Again, it can be a little tricky because when you guys are naturally reading a passage, you don't really think too much about that passage. You just read what is going on over there. But when you are supposed to fill a model, you should understand the between the line parts of that passage and then answer it accordingly. Okay. So that is everything that you need to know about modals. What are the modals? Modals are words that give us the expression and the intent of a sentence. And there are certain modals that we have to learn, which is must. Must is for obligation. Then you have will, would for future certainty. You have shall, should for recommendations, may, might for 50-50 possibility, and can, could for a 70-30 possibility. Now let us come towards a new topic, which is subject verb agreement. Subject verb agreement is also a very important topic for your exam. Now before we start this topic, I will give you a very simple hint. So you generally do subject verb agreement a lot in your daily life. So when I give you sentences such as, let's say, student studies PTE, okay, but if I put it like students study PTE, okay. Now over here, when you have student, you put studies, but if you have students, you put study. So this is all subject verb agreement. So basically, what is subject verb agreement? It is an agreement. Okay. Basically, what do you mean by subject verb agreement? It is a agreement which makes the subjects and the verbs work together. Okay. So what do we do is subject verb agreement means the subject of a sentence. Now subject is always, let me give you a little bit hint over here. Subject is the noun before the verb. So in any sentence, the noun that is before the verb, that is the subject. So the subject and the verb in a sentence must agree in number. So whether they are agreeing with their singular or plural form. Okay, so if a subject is singular, the verb becomes plural. If the verb is so if the subject is plural, the verb becomes singular, like that. So this is the whole thing about subject verb agreement. Let us understand this part by part. Okay. So what do you mean by subject verb agreement? I've already told you it's an agreement between the subject and the verb in a sentence that agree in number. So as I told you that she plays piano. Okay. Now subject here is singular. So the verb has to have an S with it. You will say she plays piano. You can't say she play piano. That is incorrect grammar. Okay. So this is all about subject verb agreement. Let us learn the basic rule about it first. The basic rule clearly states that if the subject, which is the noun before the verb, if the subject is following these three conditions, then you will be putting an S with the verb. Okay. So the three conditions are that the sentence has to be in the present tense. The subject has to be singular, that means it has to be one in quantity. And the subject has to be a third person, okay? That means the subject has to be a third party. What do I mean by third person? So let's say I'm the one who is recording this video for you. So I'm doing the speaking part over here. I am the first person. I am representing English-wise along with me. So English-wise and me, both of us are the first person. You guys are watching this video, so you guys are the second person. Anybody apart from us, he, she, it, they, them, they are all the third persons. Okay. So if your subject is in present tense, singular, and is the third person, then the verb will have an S or an ES attached to it. Okay. Let us come on the other side and look at some examples. He plays cricket. Okay. So over here, my subject, he. This is singular. This is a third person. So he is some third person. And this sentence is also in present tense. So it satisfies all the three conditions. So I will say that yes, he plays cricket. Okay. Now in the second sentence, he played cricket. Over here again, he is singular and in third person. But the sentence is in past tense. So you will not add an S to the verb. Please don't make it like he played is cricket. Okay. Guys, this is a completely wrong English. You don't have something called as played is. Okay. He plays cricket or he played cricket. That's it. Okay. Then moving on, you have they play cricket. Again over here, they is third person. Sentence is in present tense. But they is plural. It is not singular. Okay, so you will again not put an S with the verb. Okay, you will not say they plays cricket, it will be they play cricket. In the last sentence here, I play cricket. Again, this sentence is in present tense. I am singular. I'm only one person, but I'm the first person. I'm not the third person. So I will say I play cricket. Again, I will not put an S over here. It will just be I play cricket. You will not say I plays cricket. Okay. So those were the basic rules. Let us look at some more examples of this basic rule. So when I say the cat sleeps on the sofa, again over here cat is singular, third person, and the sentence is in present tense. So I will say the cat sleeps on the sofa. I will not say the cat sleep on the sofa. The cat sleeps on the sofa. It rains a lot in April. Again over here this is singular, present tense and third person. So I will say that it rains a lot in April. I will not say it rained a lot in April. The girl who always sits in the front of the row of the classroom and completes all her assignments on time deserves special recognition. Now we are talking about some random girl. Okay, again this girl is singular because we are only talking about one girl. This is present tense sentence and the girl is in third person. So she always sits. You will never say the girl who always sit in the front row. You will always say the girl who sits in the front row of the classroom and completes all her assignments on time deserves a special recognition. Okay, so all the verbs that are pertaining to this particular subject, which is the girl over here, will have an S sound along with it. Next you have a cat that often sneaks into our backyard and hides behind the bushes, seems to enjoy the sunshine. Now again over here, the cat, it's only one cat, singular cat. The sentence is in present tense and the cat is a third person. Okay, so the cat sneaks, the cat hides, and the cat seems to enjoy the sunshine. So this is how all the verbs pertaining to this cat will have an S sound with it. Next you have clouds cover the sky. Now over here, the subject is plural. Okay, it is in present tense and it is third person. So you will just say the clouds cover the sky. You will not put an S along with it. You will not say clouds cover sky. Clouds cover the sky. The teachers teach different subjects. Again over here the subject has an S, so you will not put an S with the verb. The teachers teach. It will not be the teachers teaches. The teachers teach. The teachers and staff members of the school who work tirelessly during the pandemic receive XYZ. Okay, so this is a complete sentence, but the next part can be like XYZ. So you will say the teachers and staff members. Again, there are more than one person here, so they will always receive. You will not say the teachers and staff members receives. Okay. The package is on the table. Again, there are more than one package on the table and they are wrapped in colorful paper, labeled with names and everything. They all contain gifts. You will not say the packages contains gifts. The packages contain gift. Okay. These sentences here are very good examples because you know whatever, most of the times you feel like, okay, the sentence will be like, she plays cricket. So we expect this kind of sentences, but in the PTE exam, they are going to ask you sentences which are really challenging. So what they will do is they will give you around this much part of the sentence printed there, okay, and this content will be as a blank given there. Okay, now what happens is a lot of times we get confused. Okay, we keep reading and we feel like, okay, since colorful paper is written here, then there will be only one, it is singular, so you'll put contains over there. This is where they trick you and they make you go wrong. Okay, you have to be focused on the subject, which is the noun that comes before the verb, and then you will be having an agreement of that subject with the verb in number. Okay, that they deliberately give you long sentences so you lose touch with your subject verb agreement or small things with grammar. But this is what you have to learn when you guys are practicing. Try to look more for words, so for your subject verb agreement in order to get it correct. Alright, let us learn some special rules about your subject verb agreement. So when you talk about collective nouns, so what are collective nouns? Verbs like team, group, family, all of these are collective nouns, like a team of players or panel of judges. So they are all collective nouns. So sometimes the collective nouns do act as one, like the team is winning. Okay, so if you're only talking about one team, or even though the team has a lot of players in it, you'll say the team is winning. So is over here is for singular. Act as individuals. So sometimes when they act as individuals, then they are talking about plural verb. Okay, like the team are arguing. Now over here they are talking about more than one teams, or they are talking about one team which has too many players and the players are arguing among themselves. So you will say the team are arguing in that case. Okay. So before I move ahead, please make a note of this, that whenever you are talking about is, am, was and has, they are all singular. Is, am, was and has are singular, and then are, were and have, they are all plural. So this is what we need to learn with our subject verb agreement, that is, am, was, has are singular, are, were, have are plural. Okay. Moving ahead, you are talking about indefinite pronouns. Now what do we mean by indefinite pronouns? Some of them always act as singular, like when you say everyone, someone, each, every, they will always act as singular subjects. Like everyone loves pizza. You don't say everyone loves pizza. Everyone loves pizza because everyone is pertaining to a singular subject. Moving forward, you have the ones that are always plural, like many, few and both. So they are always going to be plural. Few know the answer. So when I say few students know the answer to this, I don't say few student knows the answer. Few students know the answer, like that. Okay. Some of them can be both. So like all or some, they can act or double up as both of them. Like all the cake is gone. Okay. Now what is happening over here is this all is representing a singular thing, like cake. So you will consider it as singular. All the cake is gone. So cake cannot be like too many pieces. So it's all the cake is gone. All the cookies are gone. Now over here, this all is representing something plural, that is cookies. So you will say all the cookies are gone, like that. So this is how you will use it for your subject verb agreement. Next you have compound subjects. Okay. Now when you talk about compound subjects, they are the ones that are joined with and. Okay. So the ones that are joined with and, they are always considered plural, guys. Okay. Tom and Jerry are funny. Okay, so when I say Tom and Jerry, they are funny. I will never say Tom and Jerry is funny. Tom and Jerry are funny. Okay. Now, if they are joined by or nor, okay. So if they are joined by or nor, what happens is verb will agree with the one that is the closest noun. Okay. Like look at the example here. Either the teacher or the students are right. So over here, teacher and students, they are connected with the word or. So here your verb will agree with the subject that is closest. Okay. So over here the verb is closest to the word students. This is plural. So it will become plural here. Either the teacher or the students are right, like that. Neither the students nor the teacher is available. So now over here again, students and teacher is connected with the word nor. So you will again go with the one which is the verb will agree with the subject which is closest to it. So teacher is singular. So it will say like neither the students nor the teacher is available. Okay. Alright, now this is a very important set of rule, that is what I call it as the X of Y. Okay, now whenever you have sentences given like the box of chocolates. Okay, so this is a classic case of the X of Y situation. Now over here, what we call X is box and Y is chocolates. Okay. Now if you have a the X of Y situation, the verb will agree with X and not with Y. A lot of times students get confused over here. They feel like the box of chocolates are missing. This is what they write. Okay. The box of chocolates are. Okay. No. The verb will agree with X and not with Y. Okay. So you will write it as the box of chocolates. Over here box is X Chocolates is Y. So the box of chocolates is missing, not are missing. Because the verb will agree with X and not with Y. The people of the country vote for the president. Again, over here, people is X and country is Y. So the verb will agree with X. Now, since people is plural, you will go with the people of the country vote for the president. Like, you will not say the people of the country votes for the president. Vote for the president. Okay. Now, this is going to be an ideal scenario in 99% of the cases. You might have some exceptions based on the structure of the sentence, but those are very rare. 99% of the cases in the X of Y situation, you will always agree with X and not with Y. Alright, let us have some look at the examples. So the manager of the store and the assistant supervisor attend the weekly meetings. Now over here, the two people, manager and the assistant supervisor, are connected with the word and. So over here, they are both considered as plural. So plural subjects take singular verbs. Like the manager of the store and the assistant supervisor attend the meetings. You will not say they attends the meetings. Okay. Neither the principal nor the teachers were available. So again over here, when we are connecting it with nor, the verb will agree with the nearest subject. So teachers were available. Neither the principal nor the teachers were available when the inspection team arrived unexpectedly. Either the books or the laptop. Now again over here, we are connecting books and laptop with or. Okay, so this verb has to agree with the closest subject. So either the books or the laptop has been misplaced during the move to the new apartment. You will not say either the books or the laptops have been. Has been is correct. Okay, have been will be wrong. Everyone in the training program, regardless of their previous experience or qualifications, is required. Okay, as I told you, everyone remains always singular. So it goes with is. Each of the employees who works in the customer service department receives a monthly performance review. Again, each remains always singular, so it receives. Okay, this is how you will put your subject verb agreement to use. Alright, let us have a look at some real life reading blanks and writing blanks. So let's start reading here. Each of the proposed solutions to climate change dash its own risk and benefits. Now over here, when I'm talking about each, that means I know that I'm talking about something singular. That means my verb over here should be plural. Okay, let me look for plural verbs here. So I have presents, I have illustrates, I have effects is not a verb at all, guys, it's a noun, so I can't take that. Affect is the verb, effects is the noun. I do have affects as well. I have debates and I have needs and requires. Okay, so I have a lot of them. But you see, out of the whole bunch of options given, I have come down to at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've come down to 6 options. Okay. Now over here, when I'm proposing things, I'm also always talking about presenting ideas. So I will put presents as my first answer there. Okay, the data collected from various regions. Again, this is an X of Y situation. The data collected from various regions and the data of various regions. This is how you can interpret it. So I will look at X. X is singular. Again, I will go with a plural verb. Now, whenever a data is collected, it is always going to show something. So show, we will go with illustrate because that's the only word that matches or is similar to the word show. How rising temperatures dash both ecosystems and economies. Now over here again we have rising temperatures. That means if this is plural, subject has to become singular. Okay, so temperatures. Now let me look at my singular subjects. I have represent, I have demonstrate, affect, go, argue and fail. Okay, so over here I'm talking about rising temperatures and the ecosystem. So the rising temperatures are always going to have an impact on the ecosystems. That means they are going to affect the ecosystems. So I will put affect as my third answer there. A number of environmentalists dash that small policy changes alone dash to produce meaningful results. Now this is one of the tricky cases that I was talking about. A number of environmentalists, again this is an X of Y situation, so we should generally look at X. So a number of environmentalists argues that is wrong. Okay, when I'm talking about a number, that means I'm going to look at Y. When I say a number of environmentalists, then I put argue over there. I won't put argues. Okay, this is one of the exceptional scenarios of the X of Y, because I can't say a number of environmentalists argues. That will be wrong. Okay, when I'm talking about a number, it has to agree with Y. So again, I will put argue as my answer here, fourth answer. That small policy changes, again policy changes, this is plural. So I need a singular verb here. Let me look at my singular verbs. Dash to produce meaningful results. So what they're saying is that the policies are not able to produce meaningful results. So in that case, the policies are not doing their best. So that means the policies are failing. So I will go with fail as my fifth answer. Is it fifth? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. To produce meaningful results, neither the melting ice caps nor the shifting weather patterns. Again, I have the word patterns here. Okay. So patterns again need something singular. So let me look at singular verbs which are left. So that we have represent and we have go. Okay, so patterns represent unnoticed by scientists, that doesn't make sense. So patterns go unnoticed by scientists, that makes sense. So you always have something that went unnoticed or goes unnoticed in front of you. So you will go with the word go here. That is going to be your sixth blank. The urgency of the situation dash bold action, not just cautious optimism. So urgency of the situation, when I'm talking about urgency, this is singular and this needs to be plural in that case. So again, the plural nouns that I'm left with, the only one that suits here is either it can be needs or requires, but when I'm talking about needs and requirements, I always say that requirements is more academic, so I will go with requirements as my seventh answer. So this is how we solve this very long passage over here. Let us move on to the next one. Okay, now let us look at this reading writing blank here. The foundation of democracy dash on the belief that power dash to the people. Again, I have foundation. So this is singular. That means I need something plural here. So let me look at the plural verbs, okay? Rest is singular, built is singular, founded is in the past tense, that is nowhere needed. So I will go with rests. On the belief that power, again power is singular. So I need something plural here. Okay, power possess, no, power belong, no, power are belonging, okay. That power are belonging to the people, power is belonging to the people suits there, power are belonging won't suit there, so no. Power belongs to the people. While the ideals, again I have plural here, of liberty and equality. Now this is the X of Y situation, even though equality and liberty are singulars, but I will look at the word ideals because the X of Y, verb will always agree with X. So I need something singular here now. So appears is plural. Appearance is a noun, guys, so I can't put appearance at all. Looked is in the past tense, so that goes away. I'm left with the word seen. Their interpretations vary dramatically between cultures. Every citizen, regardless of status or wealth, dash a voice in the decisions that shape their life. Okay. Again, I have every citizen, so this is always singular. Now I need something plural over here. Okay. So let me look for something plural. We have awards, deserves, get and receive won't make sense. Again, over here we are giving the right to speak up. So that means they deserve that thing. They are not achieving something over there. So I won't put awards as my answer. So deserves is the right answer. Neither political corruption nor public apathy dash healthy governance. Again, nor is given. So verb has to agree with the nearest noun. In this case, it is singular. So I will go with something plural. Encourage will be wrong. Is encouraging, we are not talking in continuous tense, so I will not go with is encouraging or are encouraging. We are talking in simple present tense, so I will go with encourages. It is the people, not a politician, who ultimately dash the nation's course. Again, we are talking about people. Okay, the X of Y situation, the people, not the politician. So people is singular plural. Now I need something singular here. Decision is a noun, is deciding. We are not talking in continuous tense, so I will not go with that. Decides is not right. So I'm left with decide as my final answer. Okay. So this is how you will use your subject verb agreement to your advantage. Now before I leave this topic, I'm going to clarify one biggest confusion that you guys have. When to decide singular noun plural verb and when to decide singular noun singular verb. Okay, so if your sentence is in simple present tense, let me tell you guys, if your sentence is in simple present tense, that is when you will go with singular noun plus plural verb. So what do you mean by simple present tense? People decide the future of the nation. So this is simple present tense. I am not showing any continuous form over here or something that is already completed here. It is simple present tense. Like I eat an apple, like that. She eats an apple, like that. But if it is anything apart from simple present tense, if it is any continuous tense, continuous or perfect tense, be it present, past or future, doesn't matter. If it is continuous or perfect, present, past or future, then you will go with singular noun plus singular helping verbs. You will go with singular noun plus a singular helping verb, guys. Okay, so what we are actually checking in this case is whether I am supposed to put is, am, was, and has, or I am supposed to put were, have, or are. So this is what we are actually checking in that case. Okay, so when you are talking about helping verbs, this is what they are deciding: is, am, was, has, or were, have, and are. Otherwise, if it is simple present tense, make sure you make a note of it. If it is simple present tense, singular noun, plural noun, singular verb, like that. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. If it is not clear, please go back to basic rule slide and rewatch this so you can have a better understanding of it.